I think we're live. Pretty sure we are. I was watching some history because I mean, obviously that's what I like to do. Apparently, that's what I like to do is research. And right now, I'm kind of like learning back and forth between like all this stuff. So yeah, you guys are gonna watch with me because I found some things out.
In an office on the third floor of the federal building.
Oh shit.
They subpoena 115 people, most of them casino executives and employees. They also call one high-profile performer and investor, Frank Sinatra.
And it's a fascinating story because he and his attorney, Milton Rudin, pull up outside the building in a limo and run up the steps. And all the media are outside
it's not my first
waiting for him
dream.
to come to the limo.
So he was interviewed by this grand jury, and they had
actually
Sinatra in
stream,
the building for about 45
pretty
minutes.
often.
By the time the
Like
interview
every
was
weekend,
over,
but
there
normally
were
I'm
an
on
estimated
Fremont. I
200
started
people in front
deciding
of the
to
building
do this
waiting for him to come out.
'cause,
Frank Sinatra
yeah.
was such a huge star. And even though you could see him in a showroom on the Las Vegas Strip,
I know, thank you
the
so
idea
much.
of seeing him come out of this federal building in downtown Las Vegas was going to be special for people locally. Well, instead of coming out the front door, he went out the back door through the basement and got into a different vehicle and took off that way.
Nothing ever came of Sinatra, but there were indictments of Levinson and of some of the operators out on the Strip. Levinson and Joe Rosenberg ultimately were convicted, paid small fines.
The FBI believes skimming is much more widespread. They just can't present the evidence. To push back against investigators and illegal wiretaps, members of organized crime syndicates hire smart, hard-nosed lawyers like Oscar Goodman. For Goodman, doing business with the mob begins
Mind you, Oscar Goodman was the mayor at one point, so if you didn't know that, now you know. Yeah. Sorry, I'm over here like moving stuff around to make it easier for you guys to see. Maybe making my camera just a little bit. There you go. Yeah, so he used to be mayor. I don't remember what year. When was Oscar? I believe he was mayor. Let's see, I'm Googling. Oscar Goodman. Damn, he was mayor from 1999 to 2011. And then his wife replaced him in 2011. What? Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, I didn't know that.
simply enough in the 1960s.
I mean, I knew that, but I didn't
when
know
he
that
helps
right
a car
after.
dealer at the Hacienda go through bankruptcy.
I didn't know bankruptcy from schmankruptcy, but I had a motto in my law office, where there's a fee, there's a remedy. And I learned how to do it and did bankruptcy
Yeah,
with the
thank
paperwork
you.
and the filing
No,
fee,
I
the
do
whole works for
different things.
$250. He was delighted.
When the dealer is asked to recommend a criminal lawyer in Las Vegas, he suggests Goodman.
I get a phone call that evening from Bob Martin, who was the world's odds maker for sporting events. And he says, "We have something for you. We want to hire you on a case." So he got to his home and he opened the door and he said, "Here's 3 dimes and you better win the case." I didn't know what a dime was. And I opened up the envelope. There were 30 $100 bills. I had never seen 30 $100 bills in my life at one time. And I said, "I better win the case." It so happened that his brother was a reputed mobster from the East Coast, and my client-to-be was charged with a Dyer Act violation, which is driving a stolen vehicle across state lines. And basically all the government had to do is prove that the defendant was behind the wheel and that the car had been stolen and transported across state lines. Well, I had never tried a federal case before this. I was scared to death because here they hired me to take care of this reputed mobster's brother.
The trial is held in the federal courtroom.
And we tried the case.
Damn, that's
Tried it in one
crazy.
day. I still
Look at how young he looked. Like, that's crazy. I did not know. Here, let's look more into him. City mayors. Reflects on 27-year-long vision, on their legacy. The happiest mayor in America. You know what? I could see why he was made mayor. This city, I'm going to be honest, like, it will give you chance after chance after chance after chance. Just, you know, like, just start doing good and be good and you'll be fine. He did his thing, so.
Remember the juror who came out first, a nice lady, and
What kind of tea is it? We're going to do all kinds of stuff. I'm supposed to be studying. I am. Technically, on my other screen, I have this whole, like, I wish I could show y'all, but, I wish I could show y'all. I really wish I could show y'all. I'm in the database of, like, the school right now, as far as, like, well, like, the library stuff. So I'm looking at, like, articles. I'm looking at the news. Political science stuff. Just know that, okay? If I pause the video and comment, is because I don't want to get flagged. So I tend to just pause it and kind of talk. Yeah. Anyways, back to our story.
saw a tear. And I said to myself, oh my goodness, I had to have lost this. And she said, we find the defendant not guilty. Well, I can't do better than that. There's nothing like it. You don't win those cases, and I won it. And from that, my career was started. So from that point on, I guess I was a mob lawyer.
With the rapid growth of Las Vegas in the 1940s and 50s, the federal building is bulging at the seams.
Federal agencies start moving out to give the post office more space. At this point, the post office has 62 clerks, up from 11 when they opened in 1933. In 1956, planning for a new federal building begins. And in 1962, President Kennedy signs an appropriation bill that allocates $6 million to construction of a new federal building in Las Vegas. And they break ground on the new federal building in 1965.
In 1967, the government opens a new federal building and courthouse. The building is later named for two federal judges, Roger T. Foley and his son, Roger D. Foley. Most of the federal court cases move into the new building. Parts of the original federal building are repurposed.
They put up their partitions and they were ugly wooden things or metal, and they didn't really save or preserve that blonde mahogany, and that was sinful. That was just sinful that they would do that.
The state of the federal building reflects what's happening in the rest of downtown from the 1970s into the 1990s.
Oh yeah, there's a bunch
As the
of
city
history
expands,
stuff. Like,
people move to newer
I
developments.
found out that the city
and the
even
businesses
has like
follow.
a whole YouTube page, and they have like a bunch of history stuff. So we've been kind of deep diving
The
as we
Fremont
go.
Street Experience
and,
opens
that's
in
why I'm here.
1995, but many of the other downtown businesses are still struggling.
Nothing was happening in the downtown. It had no energy, no spark to it.
In 1999, Oscar Goodman is elected mayor of Las Vegas.
I got elected the mayor, and I looked out of my window the first day, and I said, what happened to the old
mob
post
lawyer.
office and courthouse? Nobody knew, and I said, let's find out. We called the GSA, General Services Administration, the federal agency that's in charge of federal buildings. And they said, oh, you may have gotten lucky here. I said, why is that? They said, this is surplus, and we will sell it to you. Not to me, but to the city of Las Vegas for $1 if you agree to rehabbing it and using it for cultural or museum purposes. And I thought,
that's dope.
Easy enough.
The city buys the building for $1 in 2002, with the goal of making it a
They bought it for
destination for
$1.
tourists and locals alike.
The idea of preserving this building, of turning it from a federal
What's up,
building into a
Carlos?
museum is a classic example of preserving your history.
But there was one crucial question. What sort of museum could be both a cultural institution and a tourist attraction?
And then the light
Thank you,
bulb went on.
Carlos.
I said, what makes us different than any place else? We were born from the mob. What is better than having a mob museum?
For Goodman, the federal building is a key component of the revitalization he envisions for downtown Las Vegas.
He really wanted it to be something
We
kind of
can go
avant-garde.
looking. We
You
can
know,
do
something
deep
that
dives
would
like that. I'm
be
so
a real
down.
attractor to tourists downtown and the Strip.
But Goodman's plan to turn the federal building into a museum about organized crime
Oh,
does
shit.
not sit well with some in the community.
You know what, though? It was a
Well,
good thing that he did.
when I started to talk about that, there were a lot of people who looked at me with derision and obloquy and scorn, and they wanted to run me out of town. The Italian American Club wanted to lynch me.
I didn't like the idea of having a mob
I know,
museum
like, I love
because I thought it would
researching and
glamorize
investigating,
the
and
mob.
then I have all the proper
and
tools
in
now
so many ways, I
that
lived
can,
through
you know,
mob era.
How do you not get
I was-
copyrighted by doing this? And then taking a quick break and just talking about like what we've seen so far, because if I'm not commentating or giving my perspective, then it's not a fair use thing. This is all for educational purposes, okay? It was a speakeasy. Or is a speakeasy at the bottom, I
in
believe.
Catholic
still.
school. And many of our friends, their fathers were involved with the mob. A lot of Italian families.
See?
One of my girlfriends called me at about 9 o'clock at night and said, "We're leaving." I said, "Where are you going?" "We're going back to Steubenville until the coast is clear." Couple months later, her father was found dead. It was a scary place when you have these things happening.
I can remember plenty of people saying it's just going to be a monument to Oscar. That was a pretty common sentiment. And let's face it, Oscar Goodman has an ego that he's earned and never
Yeah, he do.
really met a camera he didn't like. So it made perfect sense for some people to think that.
Then there was a substantial part of the community that didn't want that part of the community's history brought back to life. By this time, it had faded into the background. And part of the reason they didn't want brought back to life is that they were connected to the mob. Not that they were mob members, but they had worked in the casinos. They had juice. They had connections to and they didn't want to be reminded of that. Their names possibly could be brought up in the mob museum.
There were all kinds of old-time Las Vegans who I respected, former FBI agents, judges, other lawyers. One FBI agent, retired FBI agent, put his finger in my chest and said, "Your father is turning in his grave right now."
But I think
What the
several of
fuck?
the other members of the court felt that, strongly that it was an important place and we didn't want to see anything happen to it that wasn't positive in our view.
Well, there were a lot of people that felt that there have been a lot of ventures that have started and failed. And they didn't want the city to hook its wagon to another failed venture, very expensive one.
So at the time that Oscar Goodman started talking about a mob museum, I was at the university, and we knew that it was not going to be just about the mob, that it was going to be about law enforcement. But the Black community is not enamored with either of those, the mob nor the police department. So a lot of people in the Black community did not think that this was a good idea at all.
I mean, it was brutal out there. People in the United States Senate whom we were trying to get money for it, they laughed, they made fun of us. But I just knew it was the right thing. It dawned on me that we have to legitimate ourselves. Who could head up this building and this program and take the heat off?
The turning point for the museum was Goodman's decision to invite Ellen Knowlton, a respected member of the local law enforcement community, to chair its board.
When I retired in 2006, I was the special agent in charge of the FBI's Las Vegas division, which covers all of Nevada. At
Damn.
My retirement
It's
ceremony,
gonna get interesting somewhere
Mayor
around here then.
Oscar presented me with the key to the city. Only he didn't let go. We were having a little tug of war, and he leans in and he said, "I've got something I want you to do." And I said, "Well, who do I have to kneecap for you?" And he said, "No, it's not that." And he tells me about the fact that the city of Las Vegas had been given the former federal courthouse in exchange for $1, and that it would be developed into something for public use. So he had already put together a focus group, and they had done some work. And he told me that what the group was leaning towards was to have a museum that detailed the history of Las Vegas as it was shaped by organized crime.
Knowlton agrees to serve as the head of the committee, providing the law enforcement perspective. But that doesn't convince everyone.
I had calls from my counterparts saying, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, you're going to see."
Yeah, Ellen really kind of lowered the temperature of the criticism. I think when she decided to get on board, it gave it a lot of legitimacy to move forward.
As public confidence in the project grows, the city starts rehabilitating the building and planning for the museum. Covenants dictate that the city has to return the building to its original state, and
That's crazy to me how they like redid this whole thing though. And the city obviously got mad. When I say the city, I say like the people got kind of like you're making it good, you know? You're making like the mob look good. I wonder how Vegas would be if the mob still ran Vegas today. I know, me too. Why did it just tell you that for you? Why did it just say stop spamming? Hold on. Oh, because emotes. I need to change that, dude. Anyways, let's get back.
use it for a cultural purpose. The National Park Service will oversee the rehabilitation process.
The building was in amazing condition, especially the exterior. Yeah, the building had what, I'll use a term that another architect had used, it had good bones. It was very solid.
From purchase to rehabilitation, the work takes 10 years and $42 million.
In the courtroom, we did a fairly strict restoration of the shape and form of the space. The courtroom had been subdivided into two spaces, and we took down the demising wall between the two spaces, and underneath where the wood studs had been added, we saw the red and blue paint. So we knew we had found a great discovery. We reassembled the judge's bench on a new raised platform in the original location. And when we were putting it back together again, we saw that there was a steel plate, we believe, to protect the judge from somebody who might arrive with a gun. And we found some images that showed light fixtures in the building that didn't exist for us when the city received the property in 2002. We worked with a company called St. Louis Antique Lighting, who did the reproduction of the lighting for us. And we were able to follow patterns to do stenciling on the new acorn-shaped globes that mimic the historic pattern. Each stencil took about 14 hours to do on each light fixture, and then they were stained with a gold tint, which ends up being just a remarkable luminescent fixture.
We basically went in to rehabilitate the building to meet historic standards, which is basically bringing the building back to its original condition. For instance, they had painted a lot of the nice wood paneling back in the back of the post office especially. So we had to remove all that paint and bring it back to its original wood look.
Parallel with the historic renovations, curators develop the story the Mob Museum will tell. The exhibits will explore the national story of organized crime and law enforcement, with a particular focus on Las Vegas. The first major artifacts acquired for the Mob Museum are connected to one of the most shocking incidents in organized crime history, the St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
So the St. Valentine's Day Massacre.
All of this is inside the Mob Museum, okay? Like, you can actually go and, like, see some of this stuff. Once our page gets bigger, I know for a fact we're going to be able to do a lot more stuff. Right now we can't like that. But I would love to go down there and kind of get some of these stories and, like, details and show, like, certain things, you know?
Massacre occurred in Chicago in 1929. There were rival bootlegging gangs across Chicago. And one of the biggest in town was the Al Capone's outfit, right? And then you had something called the North Side Gang. And the North Side Gang was probably the biggest rival to Capone. We believe that Capone and his lieutenants hired a group of hitmen from St. Louis to really take out the North Side Gang. They knew that these North Side Gang members were going to hang out in this garage on North Clark Street in Chicago.
4 men, 2 dressed as policemen, enter the Clark Street garage. They order the 7 members of the North Side Gang to line up against a brick wall and shoot them. The wall becomes a symbol of mob violence, a physical piece of history.
The bricks from the wall against which these men were lined up had been recovered from the scene when the building was torn down in 1967. A man named George Patey had acquired these bricks. He put them in a nightclub in Vancouver.
The museum acquires the bricks from Patey's niece in 2009.
That's what I'm talking about. When you go on the wall, you can actually see like marks, but in reality, it's like you'll see. Maybe they'll show it.
If you look at the bricks collectively, they were the first artifact in the Mob Museum's collection and have become really the premier artifact on display at the museum as long as it's been open.
February 14th, 2012, on the anniversary of the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, the museum opens, and the city throws a Las Vegas-style celebration.
Opening day was great for a lot of different reasons.
Opening day was magical. I mean, this was, I remember it like it was yesterday. Sun was shining. There was a crowd forming right outside the building at the base of the steps. A lot of excitement. We had the Jersey Boys perform on the front steps.
We had a lot of old-time Las Vegas there that night, and to hear their voice, oh, wow, and just the acclamations that this is a nice project. In fact, my mother went up to her old Pox 55, remembered the combination, and opened it right up. It was very authentic. It was a very happy moment. A lot of hard work went in, but it was nice to see it come to fruition that evening.
The day that we opened was like a mix of euphoria and terror. My thrust was get this done and get it open so that we can prove to the community that it has value and it will make downtown a better place.
And it does. People.
Oh yeah, it does. I'm gonna be honest, the Mob Museum is doing great.
Begin flocking to the museum.
I probably was a little surprised at the beginning that people were so attracted by this new museum. And then I went to it. I did the tour, and you can see why. This was just as good as any museum in Washington, D.C.
The Mob Museum is the product of 10 years of work by city officials, the volunteer board of directors, contractors, staff, and many external advisors.
It was great to save that building. I'll just say that, because a lot of other things could have happened.
Just don't
when
spam.
the federal government let go of it, and I'm just proud to be a part of that.
The federal building on Stewart is the most significant piece of architecture in downtown Las Vegas. It represents the history of the community.
The Mob Museum's exhibits chart the rise of organized crime in America and law enforcement's response. The story begins with ethnic immigration in the 19th century, traces the mob's dramatic growth during Prohibition, and tracks its moves into new rackets such as illegal gambling and drug trafficking. The exhibits also explore the expansion of law enforcement to combat organized crime and how new laws and technologies bolstered efforts to bring down the mob.
Yeah, like this is a good place to like go and like see like, I don't know, just see history on how all of this played out in our community and why, you know, why Vegas has such ties to the mob and all of that. It's all there. So I would recommend going, to be honest. It's really good to go. I've gone a ton of times.
The centerpiece of the museum is the historically restored courtroom, featuring a dynamic 3-screen film experience chronicling the Kefauver Committee hearings.
Yeah, it's crazy to be in there.
The mob's role in building Las Vegas is highlighted as well. The museum receives widespread recognition as a top museum in the state and the nation. Public programs and events at the museum restore the building's status as a community gathering place.
I told Jimmy that, I said, you know, Jimmy, I saved your life twice.
We weren't able to do it before now. We've been talking about it for 2 years.
Authors, experts, and law enforcement officials share their knowledge and experiences and discuss contemporary criminal justice issues.
We got out of prison. He would not bring me back into this life as much as he needed me.
Thousands turn out each year for the museum's free days. Adhering to strict industry standards, the museum achieves national accreditation after just 5 years of operation.
We knew for people that weren't at the museum, not familiar with us, that there might be, you know, again, some skepticism about how serious-minded an institution this is, so which is why we pursued that accreditation, so we'd have that kind of stamp of approval that really a very small percentage of museums ever achieve.
In 2017, the museum embarks on a major renovation that introduces several new exhibits and experiences.
We also understood that growth also means refreshing the exhibits and adding new ways in which we can, you know, grow our audience, be more interactive. And I think that also comes from kind of philosophically the team surrounding the museum. You know, we've always been about growth. And being better and not resting on our laurels. So we did an improvement project where we refreshed the exhibits on the first floor. So 6 years after we opened the museum for the first time, we reopened with new experiences on the first floor, bringing in contemporary organized crime topics, a crime lab, you know, where people could go in and experience forensic science topics, a use of force experience area, and really bring in
Use of force area. What the hell? Hold on, we gotta look at this. Use of force area in Mob Museum. I know I've probably seen it, just don't remember it. Wow. It says an interactive exhibit. Hold on. Interactive exhibit allowing visitors to test their decision-making skills in high-stake law enforcement scenarios. There's simulated weapons to navigate shoot, don't shoot scenarios, gaining insight. I want to do that. I want to do the shoot or don't shoot. Some of these people be like quick to just draw. Oh, there's not that much. Let's see, look, it says right here. Let's read it. Can y'all hear this?
Use of force. 1 Home 2/3. Exhibits 4/5. Use of force. 6 Location, 1st floor. Overview. A law enforcement officer's duty is to protect and serve the public. This requires making choices under dangerous conditions that can dramatically affect people's lives. How should we judge whether an officer's use of force was appropriate? Did the officer make the right call? Were policies followed? Could it have been prevented? The complexities of use of force, from techniques to de-escalate volatile situations to the last resort of pulling the trigger, provoke public debate and damage lives on both sides of the batch. These questions and issues are explored in the Stanley W. Ekstrom Foundation Use of Force Exhibition and Training Experience. This exhibit is sponsored by the Stanley W. Ekstrom Foundation.
I'm looking up use of force as a topic right now in the library's website. Hold on. Because I pulled up, I think this is Metro's use of force 2026. Video initial briefing, video media briefing, press release initial. Oh, these are like the reasons why I guess they did it in that situation. What? Let's listen to
About
this.
transparency, internal oversight and constitutional policing. Use of deadly force, fatal. LVMPD's commitment to the public is to be both transparent and accountable regarding our use of deadly force incidents involving employees. For each fatal use of deadly force incident that has not been through the coroner's inquest process, we have made available to you 3 reports. Beginning with the first fatal use of deadly force in December of 2010 and moving forward chronologically, you will be able to view the following documents. District Attorney's decision letter. As the District Attorney issues his decisions, LVMPD will post them in their entirety on the Office of Internal Oversight webpage. Force Investigation Team, FIT, report. The FIT report contains all the evidence found by the investigating FIT detectives. These reports will be made available to you in their entirety with the exception of any information that is deemed confidential in nature. Office of Internal Oversight, OIO, review. The Office of Internal Oversight review will be available to our community and will consist of an internal review that covers key conclusions and outcomes of each use of deadly force incident through the critical incident review process. The review may also include any changes or additions that were made to policy, procedure, tactics, or training if it was necessary to do so as a result of each use of deadly force. LVMPD began posting videos related to a categorical use of deadly force in mid-2013. Should a video or document not be available for a specific event listed below, the standard link will have NA, not available, as part of the title. View a
Ew! Yeah, so that's what, like, I found that article that they're, like, referring to. It says, Department of Justice, I'm gonna just put it over here real quick. This is the school's, website. This is the college's website that I'm looking up articles and stuff because as sources, ta-da, what other perfect sources there? It says Department of Justice completes review of Las Vegas Metro Police Department use of force policies and practices. This is a story from 2012. Let's see. I think I'm logged in. Yes. Oh, snap. Hold on. When you guys follow, does it make noise? I just want to know. I believe it does, right? Whatever. Yeah. Today announced completion and delivery of an 8-month review on the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department use of force policies and practices. The report, funded by a grant I don't like their
Department
reading
of
thing.
Justice.
Hold on.
Department of Justice completes
Yeah,
review
we
of
read
Las
that. We
Vegas
read
Department
that.
of Justice Office. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department
Oh, no, go
volunteer.
back
The
one
Las
paragraph.
Vegas
Right
Metropolitan
here.
S Department of Justice Office of Community-Oriented Policing Services, COPS, today announced the completion and delivery of an 8-month review of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department's use of force policies and practices. The report, funded by a grant from the COPS office, lists 75 findings and recommendations regarding officer-involved shootings and other use of force issues. The Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department volunteered to undergo the review by the COPS office after a series of shootings in 2011. The report focused on the use of deadly force over the last 5 years, including an analysis of policies and procedures, training and tactics, investigation and documentation, and case reviews. Interviews were conducted with 95 area stakeholders, including community members, current and former officers and prosecutors, community organizations, and police union officials. One of the most important issues facing law enforcement is the public perception of the
When I
legitimate
get to
use of
start doing
force,
my research
said
papers,
COPS Office Director Bernard Melikian.
it'll be a wrap.
And far too often, the public
I mean, I'm
perception
already
of
like
police
starting
use of force is different
like
from
my
those who
papers
are
and
in
stuff.
law enforcement.
I'm learning a lot about how
We've
to
now
do it and
developed
all
a
that
tool
stuff
to
right
help
now.
assist agencies address
So by
community
summer,
concerns,
I should be writing, bro. I mean,
effectively
I'm already
revamp
writing.
policies and practices, and enhance both community engagement and community support. The report was administered as part of the COPS Office's Critical Response Technical Assistance Initiative, designed to provide technical assistance to agencies facing significant law enforcement-related issues. Using subject matter experts, interviews, direct observations, as well as conducting among the findings in the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police. The COPS Office is a federal agency responsible for advancing community policing nationwide. Since 1995, COPS has awarded over $17 billion to advance community policing, including grants awarded to more than 13,000 state, local, and tribal law enforcement agencies to fund the hiring and redeployment of approximately 120,000 officers and provide a variety of knowledge resource products including publications, training, and technical assistance.
Freeze. Since 1995, you've had $17 billion to advance community policing, including grants awarded to more than 13,000 state, local, and tribal law enforcement agencies. 17, let me repeat that again. Let me say it a little bit louder. $17 billion. Do you feel me? Like 17 billion fucking dollars. That's a lot of money. I think I'm done with the article. Skirt. Let's go back to what we were watching. I think I read too deep into some shit. I should have probably just shut the fuck up and just listened. You know? Let me see. Put this. Oops. What the heck? No. Oh, this one. Oh. I done fucked up. Hold on. I'm trying to find the page where this belongs. Found it. Right there. This belongs over here. And we're going back to our video.
In some very authentic,
ADD, for sure.
dynamic experiences where people could understand what law enforcement does. We also moved our offices out of the basement, much more appropriately
That's a whole lot of money,
for us to continue the story about prohibition and turn the basement into the underground. So create a speakeasy experience space that's actually a working speakeasy, telling the stories of where people were consuming booze during prohibition and being able to experience it,
Yo, the speakeasy, I haven't fully been down there. I should probably go with somebody, but yeah. I pulled up the use of force by the DOJ of what is approved. You know, cuffing under power. Cuffing under power is a tactic where a secondary officer handcuffs a subject while the ECD being deployed by the primary officer is cycling and the subject is in neuromuscular incapacitation, deadly force. First of all, these are like tasers and shit. Approved weapons are those weapons meeting department specifications of which officers receive proficiency and safety trainings. I still don't feel like they're all trained like that. Force transitions, the movement, escalation, and de-escalation from the application of one force type to another in conjunction with the objectively reasonable standard from Graham versus Connor. 1989, the officer must consider all factors prior to using force and choose a reasonable option based on the totality of the circumstances present. The LVMPD use of force policy applies to all commissioned officers, but the legal standards specific to incidents involving use of force within a detention facility are set forth in Hudson versus McMillan, 503 U.S. 1, 1992. Damn. Imminent threat. This goes down the rabbit hole of all this shit. This is the stuff that I like. When I say I print out policies and I sit here and I read them, this is what I mean. I go down like the understanding of like what's appropriate and what's not. I'm gonna read this. I'm actually like, I have a whole like notebook of like just research I've done on like policies and stuff and how like their procedures are supposed to like work, like how body camera policies work. I've done a lot of reading. That's why I have this little machine here. I don't know if you guys could see it on there, but there's like a little thing that reads it to me, and I actually enjoy learning. So yeah, let's go back.
So fully. And then adjacent to that is our distillery where we actually make moonshine.
Take Damien with me. He don't even drink.
While the improvements expand the ways in which guests can experience the museum,
Damn, look, hold on. Before we even continue on this, look what I found. Look what I found. It says lateral vesicular neck resistant, LVNR, is a specific method of applying pressure to the side of a subject's neck to overcome resistance and allow safe control. This technique is used only in accordance with official department training and policy. Can we know more about this right here? How, like, when do you like decide that that's okay? Like, if there's like 5 officers or 3 officers or 2 officers, like, at what point do you guys, like, you know, like if it's one officer and then that one and then it's a head thing, that's one thing, but the next thing, that's a no-no. Levels of control are broad categories of influence and or force in undeniable escalating stages of intensity. They are identified as low level force, intermediate force, and deadly force. Damn. I'm gonna keep reading, but yeah, that was interesting.
Federal Building remains the star of the show.
As someone who believes in historic preservation and adaptive reuse and finding things to do with old buildings to make them work, the Mob Museum is a wonderful example of the whole thing working.
Preservation was the important thing, I think, for all of us. And it's turned out, of course, to be far better than I think any of us could have envisioned.
Even though there was some opposition initially to the Mob Museum, most of that opposition, if not all of it, has disappeared. The people of this community, they recognize and almost embrace this part of our history, not because they're glorifying mobsters, but because it definitely is different. Las Vegas always prides itself on being different. It's all about inventing something from whole cloth in the middle of the desert and having some help from some underworld characters to do it.
Underworld characters had nothing to do with the rise of the Federal Building in the desert sands of Las Vegas. Forward-looking citizens, combined with an expanding federal presence in American life, produced a building that has served the community for almost a century. Now, in its second life as a museum, this downtown landmark will be preserved for generations to come.
Yeah, that was a cool video. That was interesting. First of all, that Oscar Good, I didn't know that. Did you guys know that? I didn't know that. Let's see what other videos they have. Queen of the Harlem Underworld. Oh, damn, they have a whole presentation of music. Fighting crime in Las Vegas. Let's watch this. I'm not going to watch all of it. I'm going to watch some of it.
Good evening. Welcome to the Mob Museum. Welcome to 2026. My name is Jeff Schumacher. I'm the Vice President of Exhibits and Programs here. This is our first program of 2026, and it promises to be a really good one. Thank you for braving the elements to be here. As many of you know, we cover a lot of ground with our programs, from the origins of organized crime to modern-day crime and justice topics. Tonight, we're going to focus on the here and now, how law enforcement at multiple levels is fighting crime in our community today. I'll briefly start by introducing our panelists, and then we'll jump right into our discussion. There will be time at the end for questions, but I want to emphasize that word questions, not statements, not stories. Hopefully, we can focus on the panelists and the answers that they can provide this evening. So again, the focus will remain on what they have to share with us. All right, so let's introduce, I'm going to introduce our panelists. On the far end is Christopher Delzato. He's a special agent in charge of the FBI's Las Vegas field office. He became a special agent in 2009 and was assigned to the New York field office, where he worked corporate and securities fraud matters. In 2017, he was promoted to supervisory special agent, where he served as a program manager for the FBI's criminal division. As part of the criminal division's money laundering unit, he oversaw all the money laundering investigations in the South Central region of the United States. In 2021, he was named Assistant Special Agent in charge of the San Antonio field office, and he was assigned to the Las Vegas field office in 2025. Please welcome Special Agent in charge, Christopher Delzato.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Next to me is Andrew Walsh. He's the undersheriff for the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. Walsh began his career with the New York City Police Department. He's held several roles with Metro. He served as a sergeant in patrol, the field training program, and the public information office. He then was promoted to lieutenant in the downtown area command and enterprise areas. He was appointed as the Internal Affairs Bureau lieutenant before being promoted to captain of the downtown area command, and we'll go back to that era in a little bit. He then became a deputy chief overseeing the tourist safety and homeland security divisions. As an assistant sheriff, he directly supervised deputy chiefs, labor relations, internal affairs, and the Clark County Detention Center. Sheriff Kevin McMahill appointed him as his undersheriff in 2023. Please welcome Undersheriff Andy Walsh.
Thank you.
And in the middle is Mike Dreitzer. He serves as chairman of the Nevada Gaming Control Board. He was appointed to the position in 2025. Dreitzer brings to the position more than 25 years of experience in gaming, gaming law and regulation, and executive leadership. Dreitzer began his career as a deputy attorney general representing the Gaming Control Board and Gaming Commission. He held senior roles at Progressive Gaming, BMM Test Labs, and Ainsworth Game Technology. Most recently, he served as CEO at Gaming Arts, a startup gaming equipment supplier. As chairman of the Gaming Control Board, he leads the Control Board's regulatory efforts with a focus on modernization, transparency, and efficient oversight of Nevada's gaming industry. Please welcome Mike Dreitzer. Okay, so you can see we have a high-powered crew here. We're going to cover a lot of different areas of crime and justice in Las Vegas. We're going to try to keep the focus on Las Vegas. And I want to start with Special Agent Delzato. I'd like to, first of all, welcome to Las Vegas.
Thank you.
I know this is a relatively new assignment for you. What do you think of it so far?
I mean, there's nothing not to like. There's gambling, there's great weather, great people, so.
That's good to hear. Now, I want to kind of have you summarize some of the priorities of the Las Vegas field office and how your agents are addressing those priorities, if you can kind of just summarize.
Sure, so let's talk about the priorities first. So the way that the FBI at large is organized is into a couple of different silos, if you will. The first is the criminal side, right? And then the second silo, if you will, is the national security side, which really encompasses a couple of...
Okay, this is like too in depth. I need some type of history here. What? The Mob Museum uploaded this. Hold up. Videos. Okay. Okay. What the fuck? They got something about like, damn, they got a bunch of like gang stuff and like motorcycle clubs and all kinds of stuff. I think we found our favorite cocaine empire. What the hell, Mob Museum? This is what I'm talking about. Exonerated. What? We watching. Yeah, that was too in depth. That's on like the last Blanco. They talk. What the hell? They talk about a lot of stuff on here. We need to find something else though. Hold on. Let me look for something first. I want to go to YouTube and see if we can find some other history stuff. I was actually looking at the database for the school. So let me look on the database, because I was looking at like articles and stuff and all kinds of videos, and I was doing like a lot of research as far as it goes. When whales could walk. What the fuck? Hold on. Oh, that's my anthropology subject. It's just like a bunch of subjects, bro. There's so much. So much. Let's see. I don't know. We just been kind of like finding shit, I guess, to watch. As far as it goes, like history wise. Please leave a message after the tone. Beep. Damn, Pancho Villa. Let's learn about Pancho Villa. This is 30 minutes long,
On
not that
March
bad.
9th, 1916,
But if it gets
US
dull, we're
troops in the
changing
border
it.
areas
This is
of
about
New
Pancho
Mexico
Villa
and Texas
and the
were put
American
on
invasion
full
of
alert.
Mexico. All right.
And told to prepare for an invasion of Mexico.
This some history for your ass.
Thousands
Sit
of
your ass
soldiers
down.
were pouring
Go
out
get
of
your
bases
chips, your
across
drink.
America,
If you have homework to
and
do
heading
like I
south
do,
to join their brothers
you're studying
in a
and
hunt
you're
for
watching.
just one man. An idealistic, opportunistic, brutal, kind, and charismatic Mexican revolutionary who called himself Francisco Pancho Villa.
Villa was, and still is in Mexico, a mythical figure.
Until that March day, Pancho Villa had been a mythical figure in the United States, too.
Initially, he was well loved by the American people as sort of a Robin Hood character. Viva Villa, you know, and he's a very popular character.
But a shocking nighttime raid across the U.S. border had transformed Villa into a wanted man.
Villa became the great villain in American media and public opinion. He was a great menace to the United States. He had to be hunted down at any cost.
The mission was to capture Villa, dead or alive.
Damn, they said dead or alive.
In the hours before dawn on March 9, 1916, most of the residents of the tiny desert town of Columbus, New Mexico were still in bed. Troops in the nearby garrison were still in their bunks. The local sheriff's office was locked up tight. But not everyone in Columbus was asleep. Out at the edge of town, 500 armed Mexicans under the command of bandit and revolutionary Pancho Villa were about to launch a stunning attack.
They swarmed into the town and took the Americans by surprise.
Before the residents knew what had hit them, Columbus was ablaze.
When the American troops awoke, they could see in the fire who were American civilians and who were the Villistas. And they fired with machine guns into the Villistas, who soon had to retreat. The American troops pursued them across the border but couldn't catch them. And about 100 Mexicans and 16
And you know what's
Americans
crazy
died.
is that while I'm doing that, I'm also researching other stuff. And I found a video, and this is a debate, I guess. Should America end birthright citizenship? And this is a full debate. There's a transcript on it. I don't know exactly who published this right now. It says copyright. Producer is open to debate. Copyright 2025. And there's more, like... It's just crazy to me, dude. This is a full video. I'm just jumping around because I'm gonna be honest, some of these videos, like, I'm not gonna watch that, but I'll just land on them. That's how it happens most of the time when I'm researching. It's like, okay, I'll research, I'll go through, I'll skim it, look through the transcript, see what I want, or if I need it, and then, you know, cite it in whatever paper I need.
After winning independence from England, the 13 American colonies were self-governing states loosely united by a document known as the Articles of Confederation. The desire for an improved federal government resulted
you don't
in
have
a
to be,
constitutional
look,
convention.
on the weekends, I'm gonna be honest, on the weekends, I know every now and then I'm like, oh, let me, like, you know, no, like, during the week, this is what I'm doing. I'm studying, I'm spending time here reading and learning and doing all this stuff. So it's like, I know online when I'm downtown it looks different, and it might look bad like when I'm down there, but in reality, like, fucking Sunday, whenever I'm not online, Sunday through fucking Friday, this is what I'm doing. So y'all want to hang out with me, y'all want to study with me, that's cool. By all means, I'm gonna be honest, the only reason I jumped online is because the stuff that I study is, you know, and if you're with it, you're with it. If not, you're not, you know, like, you might be at work not doing anything, you just want to watch something, or you want to, like, you know, you just want to vibe, you don't want to be alone, jump in the chat. I'm not tripping. I really am not. I study anthropology and I study political science. Like, I'm dead ass. Like I'm gonna show you what I was, like, researching right now too, because I am so big into anthropology. I actually am studying Mesoamerica and the first hominin and all that stuff, like, right now. So it's cool. Like, most of the time I'll just smoke some weed and fucking get lost in my little wormholes of shit. So yeah. But this is the 14th Amendment. It says citizenship and rights of citizens. We're gonna, viewers' discretion is advised. Violence, drugs, alcohol. This is by Cambridge Educational, published back in 2007. It says copyright in English. There's a lot of, so this is Cambridge. Let's watch. Yeah, no more sunflower seeds. I need some chips though. Low key. Want a snack?
Section 1. All persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny to any person within its jurisdiction the equal protection of the laws.
The 14th Amendment, which has produced more litigation and court interpretation than any other part of the Constitution, was enacted originally to protect the freed slaves from denial of their rights by the southern states. Since then, the amendment has, through judicial interpretation, evolved into a protection against state infringement of nearly all the personal liberties and rights guaranteed in the Federal Bill of Rights. Although it contains 5 sections, only the first and last of these are relevant today. The middle sections, which deal specifically with issues related to the Confederacy and the Civil War, are considered outdated. The first section, however, contains 4 clauses which have precipitated some of the most heated debate in the history of the judiciary. Section 1 of the amendment finds its origins in the famous Supreme Court case Dred Scott v. Sanford of 1857. Dred Scott, a black slave, brought suit against his owner in Missouri. He argued that while he resided with his owner in the free state of Illinois, he had legally become emancipated. Chief Justice Taney framed the question before the court. The question is simply this: can a Negro whose ancestors were imported into this country and sold as slaves become a member of the political community formed and brought into existence by the Constitution of the United States, and as such become entitled to all the rights and privileges and immunities guaranteed by that instrument to the citizen? The court ruled that if an individual were not a citizen of the state in which they lived, neither were they a citizen of the United States, since, according to the Constitution, only citizens of states could possess national citizenship. The decision excluded blacks from citizenship and constitutional protection, which made the conflict over slavery even more bitter. Events in 1865 were unprecedented. The Confederacy had recently surrendered. President Lincoln had been assassinated, and Andrew Johnson had taken over the office of president and had moved to begin the reconstruction of the South. These conditions, combined with determination to overturn the Dred Scott decision, contributed to the eventual framing of the 14th Amendment. When the 39th Congress convened in 1866, it was dominated by a strong coalition of pro-civil rights and anti-Confederate congressmen. This coalition, termed the Radical Republicans, differed on almost every point of President Johnson's Reconstruction program. They felt that Johnson's plan did not provide for adequate protection against state infringements of the former slaves' civil rights. On April 30th, 1866, the coalition submitted a comprehensive constitutional amendment. The House debated the various sections of the proposal, and then, on June 8, 1866, the resolution was sent to the Senate and House for a vote. On June 18, 1866, both houses passed the amendment. 28 states were needed for final ratification of the 14th Amendment. On July 29, 1868, Secretary of State William H. Seward issued a proclamation that the 14th Amendment was officially part of the Constitution.
Whether the people who pushed the 14th Amendment at the time realized what they were doing or not is certainly a question for considerable debate. But the 14th Amendment has been basically used to incorporate most of the Bill of Rights so that they all apply to each of the individual states. And today, on average, probably half the cases that come before the Supreme Court of the United States arise out of 14th Amendment issues somehow.
The first clause guarantees national citizenship independent of state citizenship and grants constitutional rights relating to citizenship to all people born or naturalized in the United States. The second clause prevents the states from infringing upon these rights in any way. Among these original constitutional rights are the right to travel between states, the right to vote in national elections, and the right to engage in interstate commerce.
The 14th Amendment is the most important source of protection of all rights in modern times. For the first time in our constitutional history, the 14th Amendment guaranteed rights of individuals against violations by state governments and local governments. Before that, our Constitution protected us only against violations by federal government officials.
The third clause of the 14th Amendment's first section, providing for due process of law, has been the source of more Supreme Court cases than any other. Under this clause, before rights or privileges can be revoked, the accusing party must adhere to the strict laws of due process, fair rules of fact-finding that allow the accused to present a defense.
The 14th Amendment's due process clause means that government may not deprive you of anything important, such as your freedom or any of your property, without guaranteeing you certain fair procedures.
Yeah, that basically means that you have to go through like trial and all that stuff, so you're not like stuck there. I'm trying to pull up my fucking notes. Oh, there it is. So I can show y'all. Sorry, I'm not trying to do. I'm dead ass. It's 1,475 pages of notes. You think I'm playing? Like, look at my notes. Literally. I'm literally like my notes. Hold on. Oh, I think I passed it. And since we're not on good notes, I have to, because I have, and I say I study this, I mean it. Like, I'm literally like studying this shit. I have in one of these, let's see if I even marked it. What page is it? I'll tell you right now. Page, Articles of the Constitution. Where is, I have dissected it. Here it is. 1,187 is the page. 1,187. I went way too far. Oh, right here. Yeah. I think I created a big document of just like studies, I guess.
Final clause in Section 1 of the 14th Amendment provides for equal protection under law. Cases involving the desegregation of schools in the South have been among the most important decided under this clause. In Brown versus Board of Education, 1954, the Supreme Court overruled its own 1896 decision in Plessy versus Ferguson, which held that segregated facilities could be separate but equal. Chief Justice Warren wrote, "We conclude that in the field of public education, the doctrine of separate but equal has no place. Separate educational facilities are inherently unequal."
The way the 14th Amendment has been interpreted, and because of the equal protection clauses in the 14th Amendment, it has been really the engine through which much of our civil rights movement and much of the different efforts at really ensuring the fairness of our democracy.
Okay, so talk about fairness. Let's Articles of Confederation. You see my notes? I'm dead ass. Like, I have sat here and dissected this. Let's see. Oh, right here. He said, damn. Hold up. I'm trying to find, it's because this is all mixed up on my PDF file. What is this one? Hold on. Okay, this is the Declaration of Independence. What the king did to them. Talks about Indians as savages. How Britain has no jurisdiction. U.S. is free. Who signed it? Keep state power. This is the Articles of Confederation. Yeah, dude, I've done studies. Let me tell you. Ta-da. But where is... I have it. I have one where it's all like highlighted. Here it is. I haven't even highlighted this one. There's another one that I have a copy of that's highlighted. And he said the what? The 14th Amendment? That what? Hold up. 4, 12... Not 12, fucking... Damn. There's so many. Holy crap. 17, 15, 14. There's so many sections to it. I can't even see it. Let's zoom in. Okay, here we go. I need to zoom in a little bit, you know? Cause we're gonna look at this. It's by the state appointing Congress person disqualified from holding an office. Okay. This is a person born or naturalized in the United States is subject to the jurisdiction, therefore, a citizen of the United States and of the state wherein they reside. No state shall make or enforce any law which shall abridge the privileges or immunities of the citizens of the United States, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor deny any person within its jurisdiction to equal protection of the laws. There's a part where right here, and subject to the jurisdiction thereof. When they say subject to the jurisdiction thereof is like what they're trying to use in court, what Trump is trying to like fucking fight in court. And to be honest, when they say subject to the jurisdiction thereof, it's like military people that, you know, their families traveled with them and had kids on a boat or something. You know, like that's what they mean. They don't mean like, you know, take it above and beyond like Trump is doing. So just wanted to put that out there. That's a lot of notes. Yeah, I know. It's my fucking rooster. Leave me alone. I have a rooster and I got chickens. Skirt. But yeah, that's what I've been sitting here kind of just dealing with. What is this one?
Held in Philadelphia in the summer of 1787.
Damn, how old is this video? This is Cambridge.
The most pressing issue for the attendees was how to shape a federal government powerful enough to function, yet flexible enough to allow states to control their internal affairs. As a result, the first 4 articles of the Constitution deal with the balance of power between states and between branches of the new federal government. The framers of the Constitution anticipated the need to make changes to the Constitution as the world changed. The 5th article contains rules for amending the document and lists each amendment as it is added. The first 10 amendments were passed by Congress and ratified by the states as a group in 1791. Because they limit the federal government's ability to restrict the rights of individuals and states, they are known as the Bill of Rights. Since 1791, only 17 additional amendments have been ratified. These 27 amendments tell some of the most important stories in American political, social, and cultural history, and reinforce the vision of our colonial ancestors, that the Constitution
Is it just me or is it all laggy? I don't like that video. Hold on. Let's watch something else. I think I found one I might like. This is what I do. We're gonna study Law and Order in Ancient Power. This is by BBC Worldwide Learning, and it's copyright 2023. So, and this is a way of them governing. So this is cool.
China, India, Greece.
Yeah, I actually give the eggs away. So when people are like, "Oh, eggs are expensive," I don't have that problem no more. That's why I bought chickens. They were only like $2 at Cal Ranch at the time, and I was like,
them wealth and immortality.
You know? And now they're all big.
Failure oblivion, and death. In their battle for survival, each civilization will face the same challenges. How they respond will shape their destiny. In this episode, Law and Order.
Law
In an
and
unruly
order.
world, our ancient powers must lead their people, create ways to govern, and keep rebellion at bay. Who will find the right way?
Yeah, this is
to
gonna show
rule?
us how they fucking kill people, basically. Shoot. I'm just kidding. But, how they used to govern in these ancient times. Anthropology. Just so you know, this is anthropology. This is, yeah, my study. That's why I'm watching it, because, I finished a lot of stuff. Yeah. Actually done with political science and anthropology.
Our ancient powers have established their cultures,
Math.
built monuments and trade links, and fought battles to protect their homelands. Now they confront their next challenge. Egypt is peaceful, prosperous, and powerful. Its 3 million people are happy and well-fed. But the sudden death of its pharaoh, Thutmose II, plunges this ancient power into crisis. Because the heir to the throne is only a child.
Thutmose II's son, he was about 2 or 3 years of age, and so although he was crowned king, he needed a regent.
Without a strong guiding hand, the boy king's rule is in danger. Who can step in and take charge? The only choice is Thutmose's wife and queen.
Nah, they're not about to go
Hatshepsut
give me
was a
something
woman
like
of royal
chips
blood.
or something to
But
snack on.
in terms of
Because
kingship,
we
the king
gonna
was
be
male.
watching this.
So
I gotta
Hatshepsut
just pause
being
it like
female was
in a
little
minute
bit
or so
confusing.
I can, you know.
She needs a way to secure her reign. So Hatshepsut embarks on a radical transformation.
She showed herself as a man, dressed in Pharaoh's
Ooh, can y'all hear me? Am I? There you go. I can hear myself now. Okay. Her story is intense. Okay, pay attention.
paraphernalia. There's nothing female about her. So for all the Egyptians, the pharaoh is as he should be. Just happens to be she.
While these visual tricks work for some, others see her rule as dangerous and unacceptable. But Hatshepsut understands her people and knows that to succeed, she needs to make a permanent mark. And she has a plan.
The ancient Egyptians were big on propaganda and imagery, and that's how they communicated what was going on. So Hatshepsut built throughout Egypt saying, I am king.
But building alone isn't the answer. She also needs to have the gods on her side. At Karnak Temple in Thebes, Hatshepsut erects a huge obelisk. Carved from a single 30-meter-high block of granite, it is dedicated to the god Amun-Ra.
An obelisk is a symbol of the sun god. It's like a sunbeam. And that's why the top, which is also a little pyramid, would have been covered by electrum. And when the sun hit it at certain times of day, the whole area would just explode with light. For the common Egyptians, it would look as if the gods were really present and radiating their light out.
Takis, because I'll get me some Lunchables, because I had to order some for my kids anyways, and I'm just going to steal one. And then an ice cream, because these are bomb. If you don't have these, fire. I'm out. I got to order more. This is my last one. I know my kids are going to be like, Mom, you ate the snack. I don't give a shit about that. Let me have one.
And by putting her obelisks here, it's establishing a close rapport and relationship between Hatshepsut and the god Amun, which also is a way of giving her more legitimacy.
Hatshepsut convinces her subjects of her power. But there is another formidable group she must get on side. The priests. They gather taxes and receive lucrative offerings for the gods. They are powerful and influential, strong enough to depose a pharaoh. To buy their loyalty, Hatshepsut plans an enormous temple complex. This huge temple takes 13 years to construct. Built of dazzling limestone, it's a stunning architectural achievement and is propaganda on the grandest possible scale.
This is one of the most unusual of Egyptian funerary temples. The mountain is embracing this monument. The approach was lined with sphinxes, which all had her face.
On the facade, Hatshepsut depicts herself as Osiris, the male god of the dead. On the walls, she creates reliefs illustrating her royal exploits. And inside, in a sacred space where only priests are allowed, Hatshepsut makes an audacious claim. Part of her divine origin myth.
Here you have the goddess Hathor, who is crowning Hatshepsut and sort of presenting her to Amun as the rightful ruler.
Hathor is the goddess of...
I would love to go there and just like look at the stuff, like, you know, conduct my own research on like what they did, you know?
love, beauty, and fertility. Here, she is represented as a cow.
And we have these fabulous images of the goddess Hathor and Hatshepsut suckling. And by taking in the milk, she herself is getting even more divine because she's ingesting from the goddess.
Hatshepsut's remarkable power play pays off, and she rules for over 15 years.
Like, have you seen it on Google Earth?
Hatshepsut's reign was a wonderful time for Egypt. She was innovative. She had good ideas with architecture, decoration, programs for establishing the legitimacy of kingship, and setting up the whole mechanism for large-scale Egyptian propaganda for the New Kingdom pharaohs.
Hatshepsut changes history by proving a pharaoh's gender doesn't always matter. The people and priests can accept women who they believe are divine. And this pharaoh secures a golden age for Egypt.
I have to say that she has always been one of my favorite pharaohs, because when you have a woman pharaoh and you yourself are a woman, it's quite a buzz.
In Egypt, the power of the gods legitimizes a pharaoh's claim to rule. To the east, ancient India has many different belief systems. But here too, religion is key to maintaining law and order.
My Lunchable might be a little bit cold.
Power in India is fragmented.
Yeah. What up, boy?
In the north, small kingdoms battle for control. But soon, one wins out. The Guptas. The territory they conquer stretches from coast to coast, across the northern half of the Indian subcontinent. 2 decades into their imperial rule, India's greatest king takes the throne. Samudra Gupta.
They don't have shit. The other ones that I have for my kids, yeah. It's because sometimes they don't eat the candy like that. So I just pack them like a fruit snack or something. Like
Samudra Gupta was a man of many, many talents. On the one hand, he was a great warrior. We read about how his body was adorned with the scars he received in various battles from axes and swords. But he was also something of a creative thinker, a poet king who composed a lot of poetry himself.
Samudra Gupta has millions under his command, but faces a challenge. How can he keep control of his vast and diverse kingdom?
Yeah, you can't fuck that up.
He turns to his religion, Hinduism, for answers.
I wanted to do a deep dive. Originally, I was like, somebody told me like, oh, you should go do another, because there's 2 videos I wanted to see of the whole Manny thing. Originally, that's what I was gonna do, but I don't know. I don't know how y'all feel. It was basically there's 2 videos I want to see. It was I'm trying to think which one it was. Oh, the one of JoJo. Somebody sent me. And then the one where we hear him talk like on the video, or someone else talk on the video. Someone told me it's not him, so I want to see it. You know.
The Vedas are the sacred foundation of Hinduism.
वेदमा मन्त्रहरूको संग्रह हुन्छ मन्त्र संहिता र यो विद्या वंश परम्परा चाहिँ नि गुरुहरूबाट शिष्यहरूमा क्रमशः सर्दै जान्छ। हामी सबैको जरा भन्छ नि, जरा चाहिँ नि वेद हो। जरा रहेन भनेदेखि हामी रहन सक्दैनौँ। त्यसकारणले वेद हिन्दुइज्मको लागि इम्पोर्टेन्ट छ।
The oldest of these sacred texts, the Rig Veda, discusses rituals and the praise of gods,
Yeah, I'm down.
the origin of the universe, and the nature of the
Right now I'm
divine.
doing other stuff.
But crucially for Emperor Samudragupta, one of these hymns suggests how society should be structured.
There's one controversial verse in the Rig Veda that talks about how from the body of the cosmic creator, of God himself, it was from the mouth that the Brahmin emerged. The Brahmins are the sacred theological priestly community. It was from the arms that the Kshatriyas emerged. The Kshatriyas were the fighters and the warrior class. It was from the thighs that the mercantile class emerged. And finally, the Shudras from the feet. And the Shudras are the service communities that serve everybody else, peasants and so on. This was used
What I've
as a
learned in fine
justification to
art
say
is that a lot of
in
it
the
has
most
to do
sacred
with
of the
like
Hindu
synchronicities,
scriptures,
like in
there
like
is
the
reference to
spirals, or like
stratification.
it's a lot of like placement and
Samudragupta
geometry,
and the other Gupta kings take this idea and build on it,
analytical stuff.
dividing society into distinct classes or castes. This system proves to be a powerful form of control.
The caste system in the early Gupta period wasn't necessarily set in stone. It was a lot more fluid. There are strong indications that the Guptas might have been Brahmins themselves. And if the kings themselves were Brahmins, of course, you see Brahmins receiving state power and thereby becoming stronger in Hindu society.
Samudragupta cements his power at the top
What
of
was
the
that?
caste system and transforms Indian society.
You see that there's art
Some
and
motherfucking
culture
dime in
thriving.
my pizza, bitch.
The
You
empire
saw?
is stable. There's economic activity. In fact, to many Hindus, this was the golden age of Hindu civilization.
The Guptas used religion to organize and control their people. In China, the ruler of a new dynasty faces a
The
similar
oldest
problem,
cultures?
but will find a
Look it up.
very different solution. For over 2 centuries, different states compete for domination of China. Eventually, there's a winner, the Qin. But its new emperor, Qin Shi Huang, has a problem. How can he unify over 30 million people from different cultures who have different customs and beliefs?
That's crazy. They come up in this video because they came up over here. Like they're in there.
He begins at ground level, creating 36 new administrative districts known as commanderies, and building 7,000 kilometers of new roads to link them. Next, to make trade between regions easier and collect taxes, he standardizes currency, units of length, and weights. But he doesn't believe these unifying measures will be enough.
Ew, Mr. B. Yeah,
Something else is needed.
Trusted brand, thank you.
The text on these bamboo slips is Qin Shi Huang's solution to the problem. Hundreds of rules and instructions, a legal code, detailing the do's and don'ts of his new empire.
这是《睡虎地》情节，里面就提到啊，这个古者民各有乡俗，就是说在过去啊，在以前呢，老百姓各有各的风俗习惯，或不便于民，害于邦。有的呢，他对老百姓不方便，对国家有害，是以圣王作为法度，所以这个圣王就制作了这个法律制度，去其邪僻，除其恶俗，就是去掉这个邪恶的行为，这个清除掉不好的风俗习惯。
So it says get rid of bad behavior.
This new way of ruling is known as legalism.
China law and order is crazy. I believe it.
人性的性本恶，人性本来是恶的，所以对这个老百姓的驱使要用利益进行驱使，对老百姓的这个约束力比较大，约束力比较强。秦国最后也是靠着法家这样的一个思想一个手段，最后才统一了六国。
Brutal and absolute. Legalism is strict authoritarian rule. It makes Qin Shi Huang China's most powerful emperor. His enormous tomb reveals the secrets of his rule. Covering over 56 square kilometers, this burial ground is a mirror of his empire in life.
"一方面是指的生活这一方面，还有，他就是把他所创立的这一套国家制度、国家机构，把这些也带入地下。
He's buried with his fearsome army, critical to enforcing his rule.
This is nuts right here. This. He has all of them standing like that, guarding.
But he's also accompanied by some less familiar figures.
他全部带有长板的这种冠，所以他的级别是非常高的。在他的腰部这一块，我们发现有小刀，还有磨刀石的这个痕迹。小刀它的主要目的呢，应该就是削竹简用的。假如你写字的时候在竹简上写字写错了，他拿那个削刀就可以把它削掉、刮掉。它的作用其实就相当于现在的一块橡皮。结合这个陶俑，我们就初步分析判断，这个坑的性质呢，它应该是象征着秦代的廷尉机构。廷尉是什么样一个机构呢？它就是主管司法和监狱的一个机构。
These men are buried much closer to their emperor than his army.
文官俑坑呢，它位于秦陵封土的西南角，非常近，大概只有不到100米，说明它是非常重要的，也说明它和秦始皇帝的关系是非常密切的。
These officials write the laws that maintain the emperor's iron grip on power. So crucial to his rule that he keeps them close, even in death. In China, strict laws and regulations help unify this ancient power. Far to the west, Rome also needs to exert authority on its ever-expanding territory.
They look all like, dude, and it's so surreal almost.
Rome's population is now almost 60 million people, but the empire is in turmoil. Divided by bloody civil war as different factions attempt to seize control. How can its new emperor, Vespasian, get the people back on side and restore law and order to the empire? His idea is a no-expense-spared gift to the people, a mighty monument to house the greatest show on earth. This is the largest arena the world has ever seen. A place where 50,000 people can witness spectacles of bloodlust.
Gladiatorial games were fundamental to Roman society. On one side, you've got this society which we can find ourselves in many ways. They have poetry, they have democracy, they have art. And then on the other hand, they appeal to the brutal side of man.
Road along with China? Damn.
It's this marriage between beauty
We're
and
learning
violence.
a whole lot right now, okay? Lots of, yeah.
The Romans loved the games.
They were brutal.
They're a celebration of macho athleticism.
Yeah, they basically celebrated the bullshit.
And the gladiators
This is why mutual combat isn't a
are
thing.
superstars.
They're the most sexually desired athletes of the Roman Empire. They are muscly, oiled-up men that ladies love and men want to be.
Sound like a
Each
stud.
gladiator plays a different role. The secutor is a heavily armored warrior. The Murmillo, the enemy from Gaul. And the Retiarius, a fisherman. Each distinctive character fights with different armor and weaponry. But they are all heroes that the crowds can cheer on.
The Retiarius, he has the galera here, nice bit of armor on the shoulder, which protects the side of his face so he can look over it. He's got the trident and he's got the net, but his body's exposed, his legs exposed. You think that's hardly fair because look at this guy. This guy's got the scooter. He's also got a wonderful helmet. You'd say, I definitely want to be with this guy. Well, don't let appearances fool you because here's the problem. He can't breathe very well. He is going to get tired way quicker. And it's wonderful to see what the outcome's going to be because you don't know.
But the games aren't simply gory entertainment. They are powerful propaganda. Reenactments of Rome's victories which celebrate its control over its dominions. A visceral spectacle that draws the crowd.
The atmosphere would have been electric. First of all, you've got the roar of the crowds chanting for their teams. You've got sounds from the beasts, so you can already hear them as you're walking towards the Colosseum. You go to any sports stadium, and when you're walking with the crowd, you feel that enthusiasm, that passion, that excitement. For many people, would have been the highlight of their week to go and see a gladiatorial contest.
These violent displays bring the Romans together. A trick repeated all across their empire. In more than 200 amphitheaters, each built to impress, entertain, and assert the emperor's power.
Ultimately, if you take it from the emperor's point of view, well, why is the emperor putting on these lavish games? It's simple. He needs to distract you because there's famine coming through the city. There's problems. It's fine. Watch the games.
Vespasian's distraction works. For over 400 years, the gladiatorial games help keep the peace.
Literally.
All people need is food and distraction. Bread and circuses, panem circenses. For the most part, the mob is happy, and that's what the emperor wants. Your happiness, his popularity, his reign continues, and everyone's good. And that's why the emperor does it.
In ancient Rome, entertainment maintains law and order across its empire.
That's law and order is killing people. Got it. Got it. The food looked good, but it was a Lunchable. It was fabulous.
Further to the south, a belief in their gods has kept Egypt safe for millennia. Until now. In the century after Hatshepsut's reign, Egypt has gone from strength to strength. The great builder pharaoh Amenhotep III is on the throne. Like his predecessor, he uses architecture to celebrate his religion.
Amenhotep III loved statues. The bigger, the better. He made gorgeous images of himself. He loved to show off himself and his power.
Key to Amenhotep's authority are Egypt's many gods.
Did you guys not eat or something?
The gods were the foundation of the entire economy and the political structure of ancient Egypt. Without the gods, there wouldn't be an Egyptian state.
Amenhotep, like all pharaohs, relies on religious belief to justify his rule and maintain peace and stability in this life and the next. When Amenhotep dies after 40 years on the throne, the priests transport his body to a huge life, like all
Structure of
key to
statues.
celebrate his great builder pharaoh Amenhotep III is on the throne. Like his predecessor, he uses architecture to celebrate his religion.
Amenhotep III loved statues. The bigger, the better. He made gorgeous images of himself. He loved to show off himself and his power.
Key to Amenhotep's authority are Egypt's many gods.
The gods were the foundation of the entire economy and the political structure of ancient Egypt. Without the gods, there wouldn't be an Egyptian state.
Amenhotep, like all pharaohs, relies on religious belief to justify his rule and maintain peace and stability in this life and the next. When Amenhotep dies after 40 years on the throne, the priests transport his body to a huge underground tomb.
40 fucking years of the same fucking person? Hell no. You feel me? Hell no. This one skips down to... Sorry, I'm organizing my notes.
Here, his people believe the gods of the underworld are waiting.
Oh, the Roman eagle. A lot of art.
I have Amenhotep III here, portrayed as a young man heading off on his journey to the afterlife. And the god Anubis, the god of embalming, is taking him by the hand and showing him the way to the other side. Over here, there's another version of Amenhotep III with the goddess Hathor. She's embracing him, holding the key of life. And over there, I can see Amenhotep III receiving life from the god of the underworld, Osiris. All of these gods are helping Amenhotep III make his way into the afterlife.
But just as Amenhotep's body is entombed in his granite sarcophagus, his son and heir, Akhenaten, plots a religious revolution.
To turn away from the gods would have been unfathomable to most ancient Egyptians.
But not for Akhenaten. He closes down the temples and cults of Egypt's multiple deities and replaces them with monotheism, the worship of just one god.
Akhenaten became fascinated by the sun disk Aten, this only one being that he thought was the source for all life, for everything, and was the only god.
Akhenaten plans a huge new desert city to honor his god, known today as Amarna.
It was challenging to build a new spot in the desert. He had to build everything, his own palace, temples, tombs.
Built in great haste, all is not well.
It's crazy to me how we've come so along. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, I guess.
This new city's 30,000 inhabitants. The rest of Egypt is enjoying a time of great bounty, but here, food is scarce and disease rife.
Recent excavations show that people were suffering, that there was malnutrition, there was illness. But the biggest problem in Akhenaten's reign is that he ignored the rest of Egypt. He let the rest of the country fall apart.
With the temples closed and gods banned, Egypt's economy suffers.
People thought that he was a bad king. They thought that he was insane, that he ruined Egypt.
But before things completely fall apart, Akhenaten mysteriously dies. And with him, his new religion. His son soon abandons Amarna and reinstates the old gods. Akhenaten is branded a heretic.
He failed to take into account how important the gods were to the Egyptian people and to the Egyptian state. Without the temples, this society crumbled.
As Akhenaten's statues are smashed and his name is erased from history, order is restored. In Egypt, religious revolution comes close to bringing down society. In Greece, traditionally, power has rested with whoever seizes control. But now, change is in the air. Greece is a loose collection of individual city-states. Athens is one of the most powerful. It is populated by slaves, ordinary men and women, and wealthy hereditary nobles. And whichever noble manages to grab power rules the city. They are known as tyrants, and the role is now shared by brothers Hipparchus and Hippias.
Our historical sources make it very clear that Hippias is the one actually ruling, whereas Hipparchus, the brother, is concerned primarily with enjoying a good life. Hippias seems to have ruled without many problems for a number of years.
But in 514 BCE, everything changes when a love rival murders Hipparchus.
The assassination occurred at a famous Athenian shrine called the Laokourion, which was a shrine to the daughters of the hero Laos. And we think that we've discovered that shrine because we've discovered a number of inscriptions that mention the hero Laos.
The impact of his brother's murder is devastating for both Hippias
That's crazy. Don't do it.
and the Athenians.
After the assassination, his rule becomes more cruel. He's paranoid. He kills people in the city that he thinks were co-conspirators and exiles others.
Hippias's brutal rule, harsh taxes, exiles, and executions soon lead to civil strife. And eventually, he is deposed. But the Athenians are reluctant to live under another brutal tyrant and begin to ask, could there be another way? The man with a plan is Cleisthenes. He's a wealthy noble, but wants to overturn the idea of hereditary privilege and hand power to the people. He proposes any Athenian can attend its governing body, the assembly.
We're at the Pnyx. We're above the Athenian Agora, and we're also in front of the Acropolis Hill. This is the place where the citizen assembly, the ecclesia, would have met. There is a stand where the speaker could have addressed the crowd. That's called the bema. And then there's a large open space where the crowd can sit or stand. And we think that there was probably space here for about 6,000 people, maybe upwards of 10,000. This is the center of political life.
But this early form of democracy has its quirks. Members are not elected, but randomly selected.
It means that you can't become a career politician. You can't try and corrupt people towards making certain decisions. It means that the whole citizen body is represented as fairly as possible.
But not everyone is eligible to take part in making decisions.
It's just the adult males who are over 18 and are Athenians. That means no women, no children, no slaves, and also no resident foreigners.
Despite only representing 10% of the city's population, this version of democracy works. It brings political stability and allows culture and arts to thrive, making Athens the dominant force in the growing Greek Empire. It is an idea so successful that it spreads.
So this move from a system of tyranny to this direct democracy, that's quite a radical political revolution. It's something that will take hold throughout the Greek world later, but Athens is the place where this sort of idea begins.
Democracy transforms ancient Greece and ushers in a new age. To the east, the ancient Chinese are also looking for a different way to govern. The Qin's severe laws and punishments have kept their people in check for decades. But they are beginning to tire of authoritarian rule. So when a new dynasty and an ambitious teenage emperor, Wu, comes to power, he seeks a new way to rule. The system he discovers resonates in modern China to the present day. Confucianism.
Chill gang? I just want to see your tattoos. What? Tattoos on my back? Yo, I don't think I ever like really show my tattoos on my back like that, but here you go. I'll show you. I'll show you what it looks like. Oh, can y'all see it? Yeah, you could have just asked. Yes.
今天是纪念孔子诞辰2573周年。那么每年这一天啊，我们孔子后人啊，从世界各地赶到曲阜，来纪念孔子，缅怀我们祖先的功德。
Orphaned in childhood, the young Confucius is self-taught. He spends most of his career working for the government, where his radical ideas make him political enemies.
那么孔子55岁的时候，政治失利，被迫出走，带领弟子周游列国，14年，劝说诸侯国的国君听从他的主张。
Confucius advocates a kinder, more harmonious approach to life.
那孔子的君君臣臣、父父子子的这种理念呢，是认为每个人都有自己的位置，有自己的权利。做国君的像国君，那就是什么标准呢？要仁厚。那么己所不欲，勿施于人。 其实它也是一个仁慈的表现。
Confucius proposes that these acts don't just apply to personal relationships, but also how the country is run.
孔子认为应该以德、以仁来治理国家，保持爱心对待自己的臣民。
But as civil war engulfs China, the people forget Confucius and his ideas. Until 3 centuries later, Emperor Wu is introduced to them by one of his advisors.
那么董仲舒提出了君权神授，汉武帝非常高兴。那董仲舒又提出了天人感应，作为天子，如果你不好好的执政，那么各种灾祸就来了；如果好好的执政，那么丰收太平就来了。
But more than this, Dong convinces the emperor that he should adopt Confucianism for his government. And that only students of this philosophy can work in it. Confucianism transforms Chinese society. and it helps Emperor Wu enjoy a long and prosperous reign, and consolidates the Han Dynasty's grip on power.
由于董仲舒提出的尊儒，那么儒学思想
You know what's
统
crazy is
治
I
了
need a
汉
tutor
朝
for fucking
400多
math.
年。
Like, so if any of you guys know math, I want to help out, or if I should just stay on stream and y'all can
后来又成为历朝历代帝王统治江山的主要思。
It's crazy because I'm doing good in every single other one, right? Like not other one, but every other subject but math. And I've been
Every
so cocky
ancient
about math.
power has found a way to
Like
control
I'm really good
their
in
people
class and all that
with
stuff,
their own
but when it
brand
comes
of
to like actually
authority.
doing the homework part, I think I struggle.
In Egypt, the old gods helped the pharaohs reinforce their rule of law. And beware those who challenge tradition. China finds that whilst harsh rules can keep people in check, it's a more caring philosophy that endures. The ancient Indians impose a caste system to organize society. While the Greeks, tired of tyranny, hand control over to their citizens. And in Rome, the masses are kept happy by bloody spectacle.
All right, we're gonna move on to another one. This one's 5 minutes long, and it's the Nazca culture. So enjoy. Cause I'm looking for more. I found one of like the American Native Americans here. I want to play that one, but that is an hour long, and I don't think we're gonna have time like that.
It is one of the most arid deserts in the world, averaging less than an inch of rainfall a year, and running along Peru's southern coast. More than 1,500 years ago, the people here created remarkable earthworks across an area spanning about 200 square miles. Giant figures, a hummingbird, a spider, a monkey, and thousands of lines, some more than 5 miles long, etched in the ground. They are known as the Nazca lines.
Technically, they're called geoglyphs, drawings on the earth. The Nazca geoglyphs can be seen in all their splendor from the air.
Erosion and the remoteness of many of the lines meant that these vast designs were all but forgotten for more than a millennium. They were rediscovered in the 1920s, but it was not until airplanes started flying across the region that their true scale was revealed.
There are estimates about how many geoglyphs there are, around 6,000 or 7,000 geoglyphs. Most, almost 90%, were geometric motifs, lines, trapezoids, and around 10% figures.
Thank you.
But what were they for? And who created them? Peruvian archaeologist Johnny Isla has been studying the Nazca geoglyphs for more than 30 years.
The Nazca were a social group that developed along the southern coast. This territory is pretty arid because there's no water for most of the year. Their dwellings were along valleys, which are really small oases in the middle of the desert.
Archaeologists named the ancient group of farmers and fishermen who once lived here the Nazca, after the local river valley. They used the surrounding desert plateaus as a canvas for drawing giant geoglyphs.
The Nazca covered these plains with geoglyphs and turned this desert into a space which was inhabited, dynamic, social, and vibrant through time.
Over the years, there have been many theories about these geoglyphs. That they were astronomical calendars, signs left by aliens, or appeals to gods looking down from above. But whatever the reason, the ancient people who lived in this area left a lasting mark in the desert. Today, urban expansion means some geoglyphs are on the outskirts of town.
I live 500 meters from the geoglyphs. Here in Nazca, we're proud of what the ancestors left us.
Who knows what the ancestors were thinking when they did this? But it's very beautiful.
Nazca civilization disappeared more than a millennium ago. But a growing interest in the past has spurred a revival of ancient indigenous traditions, like the Yakuremi, a celebration of water.
The matter of indigeneity is very complex here in Peru. People will not often identify as indigenous. It is still something that is associated with an underdevelopment or a lack of progress. But they will...
Damn, so basically... Damn, this is 53 minutes long. You got me fucked up. I thought that was 5 minutes long. Nope. Damn, Pancho Villa. The 50s in Las Vegas. Kill Bill. Hold up. I'm gonna look for something. Take this off.
Gambling. Although prohibition was still in effect,
So, here you go.
Las Vegas, Nevada, one of the most iconic cities in the world. Today, it's the site of scores of
Nevada, fuck the bullshit. We're ending. I'm just kidding.
glittering palace casinos that reach high into the night sky, a place where fortunes are made and lost, where the dreams of even the most downtrodden can come true in the turn of a card or a spin of the wheel. It's a place where any and all desires can be fulfilled. But behind Las Vegas's glittering facade hides a sinister and deadly history. Welcome to American Mafia. I'm Mark Wesley Curran, your host in this documentary series that explores the rise and fall of organized crime in America in her most highly revered cities. I'll take you behind the scenes into the history of how the Mafia infiltrated our nation's history in its early years, corrupted our most respected institutions, and ascended to be one of the most feared and powerful organizations in the world. In its early years, Las Vegas was just a whistle stop on the way to someplace else. It was a cowboy town. Bolstered by abundant groundwater, it was a popular oasis as travelers made their way across the hot and dusty desert. The city of Las Vegas was incorporated on March 16, 1911, and in 1919, Prohibition was ratified with all consumption, manufacturing, and distribution of liquor banned. But on September 7, 1929, work began.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that subject anymore. If anything, we should look for something else. Hold on. Subject. Last Temple, Cleopatra, Secrets of the Dead. Let's watch this. This is PBS and it was copyrighted 2025. We are using this for educational purposes. Don't come for me.
Fantastic ancient ruins are scattered all over Egypt, the legacy of the pharaoh's 3,000-year rule. Cleopatra VII was the empire's last great queen. While her name is the stuff of legend, she left very few physical traces of her reign. After 30 years of excavation work in Alexandria, an archaeological team led by Frank Godio has just achieved the impossible. They have discovered a monument sunk beneath the Mediterranean.
To find this sort of building is unique. We've never found one.
Alexandria was a place of vital importance for Cleopatra. Could these newly found ruins have belonged to her? They stood on a harbor island that likely sank in the 4th century.
What we see at the Temple of Isis is really a little time capsule that doesn't get disturbed once the destruction has happened.
Erected in honor of the god Osiris and the goddess Isis, the structure represented Cleopatra in the eyes of all Egypt. And the treasure within is priceless to historians.
It's from the Temple of Isis, a very rare piece.
The facial characteristics suggest Cleopatra VII.
The temple would have been an important part of how she was presenting herself to her population.
The archaeologists have brought thousands of artifacts up from the sea floor for analysis. And they can now share what their underwater investigation reveals about Cleopatra's life, the fate of her family, the Ptolemies, and the men who stood at her side.
I think we have an interesting discovery here.
With cutting-edge technology, these scientists and researchers have created a virtual reconstruction of one of antiquity's major monuments. Cleopatra's Last Temple. Alexandria. With 6 million inhabitants, it is Egypt's second largest city after Cairo. 2,000 years ago, this Mediterranean port was the capital of the Ptolemaic kingdom, ruled by the pharaohs, including the empire's famous queen, the very last of their civilization, Cleopatra.
People have always been fascinated with Cleopatra. She was never forgotten. In Egypt, she continued to be revered. She's seen as a strong, powerful queen.
She's the last survivor of the dynasties who were established by Alexander the Great.
Cleopatra was born in Alexandria in 69 BC, the daughter of Pharaoh Ptolemy XII and an unknown mother. When she took the throne in 51 BC, the country was prosperous, but under Roman influence. To ease tensions,
to
the
be
young
honest, I was
queen
gonna get off
chose
at 2
to
o'clock. I
ally.
didn't want to say nothing, but yeah, I'm about to go take me a nap. A nice, cool little nap. I will be back on probably later, if not tomorrow. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow's Friday. Yeah, tomorrow. So, you know, have a good one. See you later.